the task light journey continues. I have some fresh parts that we're gonna try out. I'm gonna go ahead and disassemble my first prototype and go ahead and switch these bits out. As you can see, my original intent was something more like this that's actually gonna shroud the bulb a little bit. This has actually just got the prongs on it that you plug into the wall, and so I have just soldered to that. I am now going to cut these off. This has got some screw terminals in the back, so I think I'm gonna just do it old school and wrap the wire around there. These wires are just gonna exit through the center here. There's some screw holes that I printed in where these little screws are actually gonna screw in to hold this down and keep it from rotating. Now this is the hard part, finding where those little screws line up. I'm just shaking it to see if it's still loose in there. It is. Yep, come on now. They're almost there. And we might even have enough left over to actually reassemble this thing. Don't forget the cap. And all we have to do is put the bulb in. Power! We're gonna need some power. No sparks yet. No sparks yet. Puts the bulb in. You guys got your fingers crossed? Oh! I have either done something wrong, or this is still too tight, and this is not actually making contact. Let me bend that dingus. Oh, that is still plugged in, yet turned off. Don't want to fry myself on camera. Haha! Hopefully, the next version of this little shroud will take care of that problem. But I think this is almost ready for prime time. We are so close. So this is my Rev 4 design. I've just been tweaking some of the dimensions a little bit, trying to get the fit on the lock line a little bit better. I'm also gonna try to use this right angle attachment. So we have this bit, which now has to go in here. Oh, that does not want to go. So this is going to relax a little bit, so I sort of want it extra tight. I also generally want the motion to happen more in the lock line than in the places where I'm attaching it. It feels pretty good. It sort of feels like I wanted it to. It was a little harder to assemble, but I can always come up with a better way. So this is one of the features I've had to play with a little bit to get the right size. When I first made this hole in the bottom, I modeled it 2 size, which fit very closely on these threads. But that stud is not absolutely perfectly in the center of that disc. So the first one I put together was basically jammed over against the side, and it made it harder to get in. So I just loosened up that tolerance a little bit. That rubber part is relatively tight on the sides, which is also what I want, but you want it loose enough you can get it in, because I also want this to stay smooth and flush. All right, I don't know. Let's try to put the nut on and see if that draws it up in there. I need a whacker. Whack. So it's not totally obvious why this is going in. This rubber disc actually has a little lip that kind of comes around the corner of the round part of the magnet, which is actually good because that means when this thing is fully assembled together, the rubber part can't pull off because it's wedged tightly onto the sides. It also makes it hard to put in. Okay, yeah, oh, much better. Now, the reason I left this detached is this has to screw down. If you have these 2 pieces attached together and you have to twist the entire thing, it's gonna start twisting up the wire. Tuck you guys away. This piece is also bigger than it is designed to be, again, so that it fits tight, but... okay. Yeah, not too bad. Had I only been more patient, My McMaster order arrived while I was sitting here putting this together. So this is actually the flanged lock nut I intend to use on the bottom instead of the nylock, although maybe the nylock is good. And this is a sealing gasket for the toggle switch. And this has a flange on it. It basically has its own washer. And then the bottom of this is serrated, so I thought that might actually be beneficial and kind of both spread out the force and then drive those little ridges into the plastic so it actually doesn't back out. That's my theory. I'm not even thread down all the way. Yeah, it's a little weird. It's like a caterpillar swallowed a toggle switch or something. Yeah! Alright. Let's stick this to something. I have my new bulb shroud, shall we call it, flared out this opening a little more so the bulb hopefully will fit better. I also thinned out these walls. Now the other thing that I've been messing around with, basically I have two of these lamps. This one has a 90-degree head. In some ways I like it, in some ways it looks terrible, but it works. Maybe I'll just make this an option, or maybe this will just be included in the kit. So let's fit the new shroud and see if we got the dimensions right. So the other thing I'm gonna do in production is I'm actually gonna make these two wires slightly different length so that when you have to push or pull them through a hole, they're not stacked together and get jammed. So the other thing I did is the holes where these screws engage, I made the chamfer a little bigger. Hopefully that'll make it a little easier to get the screw started. Oh man, okay, I just remembered one reason I don't like this right angle. It is very hard to get this in. Did that look as easy as it felt? My confidence is low. Yeah, nesting. There's a little metal tab right in the center. And I'm just gonna lift that up to make contact, which is, again, fine for what I'm doing right now. But for a production thing, I really want it to fit properly. Hoorah! It works! So I just need to make this shorter by an undetermined amount. So I'll probably just have to test print another one. There's a 90% chance I'll make it too short, and then we'll move it back somewhere in the middle. Oh, you know what? I did change one more thing that I have not tried yet. Right here, at the base, I have printed in this male form to attach with this. Right now in my model, I just have a hole that is threaded that will receive an adapter that is threaded on one end and has this lock line form on the other end. It is made by Lockline. That should work perfectly fine. It's kind of less cool. My worry is because these are two different materials that aren't really meant to go together. This may just wear faster, and if all of the segments are made of Lockline, I don't know if that's gonna wear any differently, but that's sort of how it's meant to work. You could just see this getting loose over time, and then it's always gonna wanna lean to one side. I actually tried early on in those prototypes, maybe on number 2, I printed that collar to keep it from tipping side to side, but I realized the problem with that is with a surface right underneath this lip, any sideways force, it basically, in effect, is levering itself loose. And that's bad. We don't want this thing to come apart any easier than is necessary. So we are getting so close to the end. We will see you again for the next version.